In this video, I'm going to be going over a list of a bunch of unobtainable creatures in Ark Survival Ascended, and I'll be giving you the spawn codes for them on the screen, so you can spawn them in single player if you want to. A lot of these creatures are like event creatures that either haven't been added to Ark Survival Ascended, so it doesn't really make too much sense why they're even in here, or some of them are future DLC things that for some reason are still in the game and work, so you might want to stay tuned for some of those, because some of them I find quite interesting. And first off, we have the Ghost Mantis. Now, this one's interesting because, I mean, we haven't had any Fear Evolved events. If you don't know, the Ghost creatures are part of the Fear Evolved event, and of course, the Ghost Mantis is one of those, but there hasn't been a Fear Evolved event in Ark Survival Ascended yet. I believe Ark Survival Ascended came out in about October, but there was no Fear Evolved event. We didn't have the like Dota Rex come back or anything, and of course we'll probably have it by like the October time, so I mean a lot of these creatures will probably end up being available by that time if you are watching this video in the future, but this one is interesting for that reason. And next we have the Ghosted Direwolf. These are the only two ghost creatures on here that aren't completely messed up. Of course we'll get to that later, but this one thing I do notice is its eyes are floating above its head, which normally doesn't do that. It's not really that high above its head, but its eyeballs are a little bit messed up there. But yeah, there's not really too much to say, it's just the Ghost Direwolf. And after that is the Ghost Rex, and this one's obviously different. As you can see, the texture is a bit missing. It's like half of it is just missing texture, and then the rest of it is just a normal Rex. The weird thing about this is I did spawn this in earlier this year, and the ghost texture was actually there, but it was still only half of it that was the Ghost Rex, and the other half was just its regular body. So this is probably the weirdest one out of all of them, because of course it just does have missing textures. I'm not sure, this one will probably get fixed once Fear Evolved actually does end up coming out. And I imagine once Fear Evolved does come out, you might not be able to spawn these ones in, or maybe you will be, because they basically, how the events work now is they make them part of mods, and then once you take away the mod, the creatures just go away. So once the mod for Fear Evolved comes out in October, they might end up actually just removing the ability to spawn these in general. After that, we have the Canoe, which is normally part of the Genesis Port 2 DLC, but you can actually get the Canoe in the game by spawning it in, and as you can see, it's completely black, except for the paddle isn't, and it gets bigger the more you use it, which is kind of interesting, and then it kind of just stops once it gets to a certain size and resets to being super tiny, and then it just keeps getting bigger again. It's really weird, and you can definitely tell it's not supposed to be in here yet. And then after that, we have the Skeleton Quetzal. There's a ton of skeleton creatures, so I'm probably just going to go over them really quickly and not spend too much time on all of them, like the next one we have, which is the Skeleton Bronto. One thing I do want to mention that's quite weird is you normally can't spawn the skeleton creatures in Ark Survival Evolved, at least on console. Maybe I haven't tried it on PC, but if you try spawning them on a console, it just doesn't work. You have to like use the skins to use them. You can't spawn them in if it's not Fear Evolved, but on here, for some reason, even though it's not Fear Evolved and there's never been a Fear Evolved event, you can still spawn them in for some reason. Here's the Skeleton Jerboa right here, the next one after that, and then after that, we have the Skeleton Stego, which is pretty cool. But yeah, once Fear Evolved actually does come out, they'll probably change. You might not be able to spawn them after it, or maybe you will once the event ends up ending, but then we have the Skeletal Giga, and the Skeletal Trike as well. And then after the Skeletal Trike, we have the Skeleton Rex, which of course these ones spawn in the alpha variants as well as on a regular variant, just like the alpha Skeleton Raptor. And then the alpha Skeleton Rex as well, or the Carno, not the Rex. And finally, out of all these creatures, you can also spawn the Skeleton Wyvern on Scorched Earth, or the alpha Skeleton one, because there's not really just a regular variant, it's just the alpha Fire variant. This next one is one I find really interesting, is you can actually spawn the Hover Skiff in Ark Survival Ascended, and it works pretty much perfectly. There's a little bit of glitches, but it seems pretty much fine, which is pretty cool, even though this one's normally a Genesis Part 1 exclusive item, and now you can just kind of just spawn it in and then ride it around. And I'm surprised they didn't just, because all the other creatures, it'll say like it doesn't work. I guess this is not a creature, because you know it's just a vehicle, so I guess that's maybe why it works. Same with the Canoe, but also things like the mech and exomech didn't work when I tried spawning them in. But after that, we have the Zombie Wyverns. You can also spawn these Zombie Wyverns in Ark Survival Ascended, which is really dope. I really hope they end up bringing the Zombie Wyverns back with Fear Evolved and make it to where you can tame them and then keep them as well, because the way they have it, it's basically like a mod now, like I said before. So I wonder if they'll just make it a part where they're part of the base game, kind of like they are now, and then you can tame them and keep them forever. Hopefully they do end up bringing that back, because that was really cool. And then after that, we have the Bunny Dodo. This one is a little bit glitched. As you can see, the bunny ears aren't perfectly on its head. It's a little bit under, which makes sense because, you know, it's not really meant to be out at the moment. And of course, they ended up skipping the Easter event this year when they were working on Scorched Earth. I believe that was the reason why they didn't end up doing it. And then after that, similarly, part of the same event is the Easter Oviraptor or the Bunny Oviraptor. You can also find this one and spawn it in as well. But that's going to be it for this video. And this one was a little bit shorter, but there wasn't too much to talk about. I thought it was an interesting idea for a video, but it just ended up being kind of short. But maybe that's not a terrible thing. But that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Thanks for watching, and bye.